upsize your creativity with the all-new, all-smart Innovus NQ1700E, only from your friends at Brother. Demo one at your Brother dealer today.
Hello, Brother Sewing and Crafting family. I'm Angela Wolf, brand ambassador, and I'm so excited to be with you today. We have the fabulous Cathy Gandy, and I'm sorry, today is like just the funniest day ever. I have to give a shout out to the Wolf Pack. If you've been following in the Angela Wolf Patterns group today, you will know that I made this shirt this morning. I kind of before every show, I try to make one top, right? And what do I never do? Well, not never, but what do I rarely do before the show? I rarely hem them because you can't see the hem. I hem them after the show. So I'm not going to tell you the whole story, but those of you in the group, you know what happened. I decided, well, here's your question of the day. What do you wear when you're sewing for yourself? Just out of curiosity. I mean, I'm not working at home. I'm in my studio, but what do you wear when you're sewing for yourself? So to answer that question, I decided to go ahead and hem the shirt. So I flipped off the shirt. I'm sitting at the cover stitch machine, and who walks in? Oh yeah, the UPS guy. The UPS guy walks in with the new Brother Scan and Cut, which I'm so excited for. So I'll be able to start playing with my Connect. But he got way more than he bargained for. So, by the way, those of you waiting for fabric, I don't think he's coming back for your boxes today. So that is your laugh. And Cathy and I were laughing about that. So Cathy, she's sewing for herself today, but she's doing something with pumpkins and it's not on a garment. So we should be safe, okay? So I see you all rolling in. Let's bring Cathy to the party. Hi, Cathy.
Hello, how are you doing? Besides a little mishap.
Yeah, just a little mishap. So I was joking that I didn't even have to put makeup on. I'm still blushing because how embarrassing, but you know, what the heck? What are you going to do, right?
Exactly. Well, I mean, swimsuits,
Yeah, that's it. You know what? He probably didn't even notice.
Probably so. You just never know. Yeah.
Oh, I see everybody rolling in. Hello.
And I'm sure that he's seen a lot of other things, so I suspect this is mild compared to some other things.
Let's go with that. I like that. So, Cathy, I was just peeking at what you're working on, and I'm so excited for this. So, could you show everyone?
Okay, it's I suspect we're kind of sick of pumpkins. I think everybody's been doing pumpkins, but you're going to get more pumpkins. So this is just some pieced blocks, and it's going to be a table runner. So I've got upside down one and then the right side up. Well, I guess it should go this way. So you got, since it's a table runner, you want to see it from both sides. So there's two up and one down. But it's just a very simple block. So you just have 6 squares. So there's just 6 squares here, 3.5-inch squares. And then you put a little 2.5-inch square here and sew it and cut it at an angle. And then the top is 4.5, 1.5, and 4.5. Sew them together. And there you've got your pumpkin and you add your borders and it's just as easy as can be.
That's really cute. I'm not sick of pumpkins. I love pumpkins.
So it's an easy block to do, but we have embroidery machines. So let's do a little something more on this. So I went to my design center and I added a leaf. Oops, I keep going the wrong way. A leaf and a vine. So we'll show you how to do that, how to go into my design center and add a little embellishment to it. Now I could have done this as an applique right here, but obviously I didn't. But you could do an applique. I had bought this fabric online because I needed it. So what I didn't realize is that it's so thin. It's so thin, I can read the newspaper through it. When I look through it, I can see right through. And so when you have something that thin and you can see through it, you know that there's spaces between those threads that are woven in there. And what happens when you have spaces between threads? Well, they like to move. And so when they move, you're going to get more puckering than you bargained for. So that's why I did an open design here. But I could have done an applique and it would have even been better, but whatever. So we're going to go into my design center and show how these are done. I'm going to go to the machine and sew these little triangles on here. So you can see how that's done with the guideline.
Okay. Hey,
And then,
Marilyn says to you, she did the binding like yours and she loves it. It's not as good as yours, but she's loving it the way you taught it in the last lesson.
well, good. Oh, I'm sure it's perfect, and I'm sure it's a lot better than mine. But anyway, and then I thought we would just go do some sashing. So I don't know if you can see the sashing on here.
Oh, yes, we can. If you all don't know what sashing is, look at the edges. It's going all the way around the outside border. Oh, I love that.
Now, let me show you this one so you'll get a better idea. I don't know how many of you have played with the luminaire and the quilt sashing in the luminaire or the 1055. So there's several ways that you can do it. But one way you do it, and then you have you can just pick out the pieces. You don't have to do step by step by step, which I did on the ones that go all the way around. But if you pick out the pieces, you can get something like this. You see how I just did the corners and I got the tulips? And this was a sashing and I made it rather large. And then I could just put the tulips in there. And then this is with my design center. And then on the end here, this is the same thing, but I picked the long line of them and just did it on the end. So we'll show you how to pick out different pieces of the sashing and put them wherever you would like on your
That's really pretty.
fabric.
You know what I really like about that? You had those three individual ones that seem like it has a stronger stitch. Did you use the triple stitch on that and a different one at the end?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. So you have your choice of how to do your stitches. So I used the heavy. I used the triple stitch here, and then on the end here, I used the single run. So it's nice to be able to have that choice. So if you want it to, and it does show up pretty good on the front, but if you want your quilting to shine, use the triple run. If you want your piecing to shine, use the single run.
Oh, that's a good tip. That's a great tip.
So that works very well. And then in the center here on the black, I did the sashing with the small tulips all the way around.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And then I did take the decorative stitches in the embroidery side and put them together and decorated my fabric here with decorative stitches on the embroidery. So I just put my fabric in and let the embroidery machine sew out a decorative stitch.
Very easy to do too. I'm looking forward to learning this tw Everyone's saying they love the pumpkins. They're not sick of pumpkins. They like it. They think it's cute.
All right. So are you ready for some pumpkin?
We're ready for some pumpkin.
Okay, let me go over to the machine and we'll do the guideline marker first. And then I'll let you talk or people ask questions and I'll switch to embroidery and we can go to my design center.
Wonderful.
And then we'll do the little things with the design center. Okay?
Sounds good.
All righty.
All right, she's switching her camera so I can see all of you saying that you love pumpkins. And I see some new people here joining us. So by the way, I forgot to mention, I was so distracted by the UPS guy that, no affiliation to Brother, by the way. Didn't mean to mention a brand, but just saying. I forgot to tell you, if you've never been here before, we are live streaming on Brother Sewing and Crafting Facebook and YouTube pages, and we can see all of your comments and questions. And we're looking forward to seeing what Cathy has. So be sure to ask questions and we'll take breaks to answer those. All right, Cathy, we can see you just great here.
Okay. So I'm going to put one of these on the corner right here. Now, I am in the utility mode and I'm going to go to the quilting mode. So I'm going to, I locked my screen. I cleaned my screen, so I locked it. So now I have to unlock it so things will move. So I'm going to scroll over here. I'm just going to get it dirty again. And I'm going to go to the quilting. Now, if you look down here, the stitch length on that, the default is 2.5, and I'm still in the utility area. And when I do my left and right shift, if I move it, it's going to go up by 0.25. So when I come over to quilting, I can and pick my stitch. I'll pick 02. It's and we'll pick 02 so I can show you what I'm talking about. The stitch length automatically changes to 2.0, so it makes it a shorter stitch because that's what quilters like. It won't come out as easily. And you see my left and right shift. It's at 5.5. So if I move this, it moves just a little bit. Let's go up. So it moves in 0.13 increments. And so you have a lot more. I think there's over 50 needle positions here. So if you want that scant 1/4 of an inch, you can get that scant 1/4 of an inch with no problem. So it's really nice that you have so many options here. Let's go back to the number 1, and that's at 3.5. I'm going to come up to here and pick my guideline. I don't know, can you see the guideline?
Not really. We can see the brightness though.
Okay, so I have a guideline marker, and I like that with this. Now, if I was doing just a regular square, I could sort of see corner to corner, but with this being smaller than my other square, I like to have the guideline marker on there. So I'm going to go ahead and come on over here and get this lined up and just start sewing. And it just keeps it all lined up right there. Cut it. And then I would trim this off. And there is my corner of my pumpkin. So you do that on all 4 corners, and then you've got your pumpkin shape. Now you can do this however you want. If you wanted less cut off, you would just make a 1.5 inch square, or you can make a rectangle and have a different angle. So whatever angle you want here, you can do that with the shape of your square or your rectangle.
That's
Makes
simple.
sense?
Yeah, it really makes sense. Very simple too.
Yes, and so you can get creative, or just, you don't really have to get very creative. You just cut a square or a rectangle and put it on there and sew it. So it's easy to do, and it personalizes it to how you want it. Nice. All right. So I'm going to turn this off and close this. So that's about it on the sewing side. There was just piecing and putting it together on this side. So there's not a whole lot on the sewing side. Now you could use, yes.
Cathy, I got a quick question. While you have that in your hand, because I know some people are new at quilting, where you have that pumpkin, the orange pieces, can you show the backside which way you pressed those? Because that's always the question that comes up. Which way do you press them, or do you sew them over the row? Anything like that?
What I did was I pressed towards the brown area. And the reason that I did that is because I knew I was going to have brown, orange, and brown, and orange, brown. So I knew they were going to be opposite. So if I pressed towards either the orange or the brown, I knew that I would have those seams be able to lock as I sew this last seam. And that makes it easy to have perfect little joins.
Oh, that's a great tip.
So it's really nice if you just if you have something like this, just press to one side, and you usually press towards the dark side so it won't shadow through. So if I had this was white and I pressed towards the white, it would shadow through, and that can make you grumpy.
That makes sense.
Okay. So any other questions?
Let's see. I think that's all I see right now. Everybody's saying super cute.
Okay.
She hates flippy corners. I agree.
All right. So I'll go ahead and put this down, and I will go ahead and switch on over, and we'll go on over to my design center and set up for the embroidery.
Okay, perfect. Oh, that's really cute. So for those of you just popping in, don't worry if you want to go back and watch this. Now, you could not see that laser light, but if you go back through other episodes that we've had, you can see that light that she laid there just perfectly to line up to do a straight stitch. So I know you couldn't see it from there, but that's what was happening. And you can always go back to watch from the beginning. If you share this on your Facebook page or on YouTube, you can click save or share and watch it later. So that's something that I always do. I end up filling my saved basket, and then I fill up my Saturday binge watching. So Cathy's changing for just, by the way, I'm going to bring Cathy up here because I know her head's in the way, but to show you how easy it is to change it to embroidery, she just changed the foot right now. That's it. And now she's threading it. I'll be your talking hands.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, but you know, some people always say, you know, how hard is it? Even when I was at Houston Quilt Fest, how hard is it to change this from embroidery to sewing? Well, by the way, you can sew with the quilting arm on or off. And to take the quilting arm off, it's literally one little handle, you pull it and it's gone. That's it. You just have to change your foot. So very, very simple to do. All right.
Okay. My microphone keeps falling off of where I put it, so I'm just going to have to lay it down here. Okay.
That's okay.
All right. So.
Oh, what magnetic hoop is that?
This is the 5x7 flat frame. So it is amazing. It just goes right under. The magnets just hold everything in there very, very well. I've got a medium weight tearaway back here. When you do something with stitches that aren't real heavy, you don't want any. I like a tearaway, but I don't want anything too heavy because it will distort the stitches. So I want to use a medium weight tearaway. And since I don't need a whole lot, I'm going to put a leaf here and a vine here. I can use my 5x7. And you want to always use the smallest hoop that you can because that just keeps it from moving so much. And this magnetic hoop just holds everything. It's amazing. It just holds it very, very well. So on our machines, let me get out of the way of the screen. We have our sewing section. We have embroidery, which has our regular embroidery in it. Okay. And we have the Disney, which it went away. We have Disney, and we have my design center. So really with this machine, you have three sides to it. You have sewing, you have embroidery, and you have digitizing. So when you're in my design center, you're turning a shape into stitches. And so that's telling that the machine will figure out where to drop that needle so that you can have stitches. So when you have a line and you want to turn it into stitches, what you're doing is you're letting the machine decide where to drop that needle so it can sew out your line just perfectly. All right, so I'm going to put this on here.
Patty wants to know, is that frame, is that hoop, I mean, not frame, a Brother product? Yes, it is, Patty.
Yes.
And this one works on quite a few machines, not just the Luminaire, correct?
Exactly. Now, you need to update your machine because it has to. If you look at your hoop here, do you see this little side here?
Mm-hmm.
That's where the sensors in your arm know what hoop you have on. And so your machines that don't have the update in there are going to say, oh, I don't recognize that. I don't know where that came from. But once you get the update in there, it's going to know that it's the new magnetic flat frame and will recognize it.
Yes. Yep. Patty, that is a Brother product. And by the way, you can call your Brother dealer to get that too. It's available now.
Yes.
Oh, and by the way, Cathy said update, not upgrade. Updates are free, just to be clear.
Yeah, update is free. Upgrade you pay for. Yeah, update just fixes anything or like this. It's letting, we have a new product, so we're letting your machine know to recognize it. Upgrade is taking it to a higher level, so it costs a little something. Okay, so I'm going to come to my design center, And when I'm in my design center, do I need to zoom in on that or anything?
Just a little bit if you can. We can see it, but if you can get a little closer, that would be great.
Okay, well, you might want to take me out. I would have to walk in front of it, but I guess that's okay.
Sure, I could do that for a sec because I see a question from Joanna. How do you update your machine? So a couple things, Joanna, and I cannot remember the exact machine you have, but in general. So first of all, those that have the Luminaire with the Wi-Fi, it will give a little, you'll see an exclamation point because I think I have one on mine right now because there was a new update for the Luminaire recently. So I just have to hit that and it downloads. Now, any other machine, what you want to do is you want to go to brothersews.com. And if you go under product, you go through there, put in your machine, whatever the model is, and it will take you to the page and tell you what is the last update. So some of you might have to put it on a USB stick. You download it from the computer, put it on a USB stick and bring it to your machine. Just be careful that when you have that USB stick, that there's nothing else on it. You always want it to be blank before you put that new upgrade on it. And then just put that USB in the side of your machine. And also on the Brother Sews, there's a PDF file that you can download and it will show you exactly. Sometimes you have to click a couple buttons on your machine. Everyone's different, so I'm not going to go through those specifically right now, but that's how you do it, Joanna. Great question. All right, and Cathy's back. Oh, yes, we can see much better now.
Okay, so I'm not sure how familiar everybody is with my design center, but I'll go ahead and explain a few things as I go. So I'm going to scan this pumpkin in as an image. I do not, if you, let me push this button. So you have image scan, line design, or illustration design. So when I do an image, I'm just going to get a picture. It's like a backdrop so that I can put my designs where I want to on it. If I scan it as a line design, any line that the machine sees, it's going to turn it into stitches. And then if I do it as an illustration design, any empty area that it sees, it's going to fill it with a fill stitch. So those are the three that you have, but I'm going to do an image scan and push scan and let it do its thing. And when it's done, the pumpkin will show up on the screen.
Doreen says, is this kind of like digitizing? Well, kind of, except it doesn't.
Well, that's exactly what it is. So you have the three sides of your machine, you have the sewing, embroidery, and you have digitizing. Okay, so I can make it a little bit darker. Now you want to be careful when you make it too dark, you can't see what you're putting on there. It gets too dark and you can't see it. So I want to put in that leaf. And I know that that's a line design. It's built into the machine. It's in our shapes. But I want it to be, I don't want, the default on the line is a satin stitch. And I don't want it to be a satin stitch. So I'm going to push that, and I'm going to push my triple stitch. So I want it to be a triple stitch, and I'm going to pick a green color here. And now when it brings it in, if it's green, I know that it's digitized. So I'm going to say, okay. I'm going to come to my shapes. Now in your shapes, you have three areas here. This first one is lines. So any lines will be digitized. The second one is a fill only. So it will digitize as a fill. And the third one is a line and a fill. So it will do both. So we're just going to do the line, and I'm going to come up here to open shapes. Now with the open shapes, it means that they're open, that not all lines are connected. So when you do a fill stitch, you need all your lines connected, because if they're not, the fill will just flood out and it will be all over the place. So I'm going to pick this leaf right here and say, okay. And I don't know if you can see it or not. Let me.
Yeah, we can see.
Can you see the leaf?
Kind of, just barely. There,
Okay,
now we can see it.
So, yeah, and so you have to sort of know when you lighten up the background, then you can see what you've got there. So I know I need to, I'm going to sort of bring that back there, because I know this red box is the leaf. So I can actually see the size of it. If I can't actually see it, I see the red box. So that's the size, that's the outer parameters. So I'm going to come into my size, and I'm going to size it down. And just size it way down. I guess we could have a huge leaf, but we'll size it down. Well, maybe not that much. All right, and then I'm going to come and bring it up here so we can sort of see it. Can you see it, kind of?
Yeah, we see the red box around it for sure.
Okay, so now I'm going to say okay here. You know, I darkened the screen. I wonder if I lightened up the screen, that would help. Hold on just a second.
There's so many options on these machines.
Does that, let's see.
Oh, yeah, we can see it even better now. Oh, yes.
Okay. All right. So there's my leaf, but I know that I need to get rid of the bottom stem there. Oops, and now I touched it so once I touch something, it's not selected anymore. But that's okay. I'm going to come up here and I'm going to magnify to 200%. And I'm going to go to my pan and I'm going to take this until I can see my leaf. Can you see it there?
Yep, we sure can.
Let's go ahead and do this. Let's how's that? Can you see that any better? The purple?
Oh, I see that perfect now.
Okay. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pick my eraser. I don't want this little bottom stem here. So I'm going to get my eraser and I've got the size here. So I'm just going to take it and erase that. Now you want to be careful when you do this and make sure that you get all of it. I've been sewing before and all of a sudden the machine goes off and does this one little dot. And I'm thinking, what's going on? And it's because I didn't erase one little dot. So it's going to see it. So you want to be careful that you get the whole thing. So I'm going to say okay to that. And now I want to move them down around about right here. So I need to select them. So here's our select button here. And you have different ways to select. The wand is nice, but it doesn't select everything. But if I push this, it's going to select the outside and the inside line. If I had just picked the wand, it would just get the outside leaf or the inside, and I could only move them one at a time. So I'm just going to move it right down over here. And that looks pretty good. So I know my outside is this, and now I want to digitize the inside, the filled area. So I'm going to come here. And here's my fill, my stipple, and here is all my decorative fills. Now the difference between a line and a fill, and if I'm getting too detailed here, you can tell me to hush, is that a fill stitch floods an area, whereas a line follows a shape. And so the line follows a shape, so it needs different angles to get around that shape. Whereas a fill stitch, it just floods an area. And so with a fill stitch, you only have one stitch angle. You don't have several like you do with a line. So I'm going to come to select, and I'm going to come down, and I'm going to select the leaves for the leaf. And say, okay. And we'll go ahead and we'll pick a green. And I'm going to take my bucket and I'm going to flood it in there.
Oh, now we can really see the leaf. And by the way, there's so many people saying thank you for the extra explanation because of the fact if they haven't used this before, and I see somebody that has the Dream Machine, yes, you do have My Design Center. There's more on the Luminaire, but the basics you can still do on your Luminaire. I mean,
exactly. You know, there's basics to digitizing that we don't always know, and it's just like the stitch angles. You know, it helps you realize what's going on, but it's not always, you know, something that you know unless you have studied digitizing. But anyway, so I'm going to go to next, and it's showing me my leaf fill. And so it's telling me my size is 100%. So I'm going to come to my size and I'm going to take it down as far as it'll go and say, okay. And so that's kind of fun, but it's going this way and my leaf is this way. So I'm going to come to my angle and I'm going to take it to 45 degrees. And so now it's following my leaf.
Wow.
So then if you just want to get a little crazy, you can come down to the random shift and come in here and shift it some and say, okay. And it just sort of takes it, and it's not a regular shape anymore. It's got to just sort of irregular. That's fun for circles. When you do the circles, it looks like pebbling. So we're okay. We're all good here. And right down here, I do want this to be a little heavy. So if I push this, this is going to give me thin. This is only going to be I think it's a single run. It could be a double. And then this is the triple run. So I'm going to say okay there, and then I'm going to return. And I'm going to come back here, and I'm going to go to the open shapes. Let me cancel this because I want to make sure I still have my triple stitch. So I'm going to come back to my shapes and my open shapes, and I'm going to get a little curly Q and say okay. So there it is. And I'm going to take it and rotate it 90 degrees and then 10, and then just bring it down here and put it about right there. So it's all ready to go. It's okay, and go next. And there we go, we're all set. Everything is good. If this was something that I had been working on for quite a while, and I wasn't quite sure if I wanted to change it when I sew it out, if it's not quite right, come back and change it. You need to put it into memory right now, because if you put it into memory now, it's not stitches yet, so it's totally editable. You can come back in and you can change your stitch type. You can change anything that you want with it because it's not stitches yet. Once you go past here, it's stitches and you can't go back. So we're going to go to set. And here it tells you it's going to convert. Make sure that that's what you want to do. If not, you can cancel and put it in memory and say, okay. And there, I've got it there. If I want to see what it looks like on the fabric, I'm going to push my camera here and scan and say, okay. And it will scan the hoop, and it just doesn't take long to scan it because it's so small. And there you go. So I'm going to close this. And then if I want to go to embroidery, I can turn on my cone of solitude here, my projection, and I can see it projected onto my fabric. So we'll say okay, and then we could sew it out, but I don't think we need to sew it out.
You know what, Cathy, can you go back, because we couldn't see the fabric? Any chance you can zoom the camera out so we can see that?
Do what?
We couldn't see it reflecting on the fabric. Any chance you could zoom your camera out for people?
I can change my camera, yes. Let me move the camera.
Thank you. Just because I think there's a lot of new people in here today, they might like that. So I'll take her out while she's moving that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Jane, she said, I need to watch this over and over. Well, you can share this you're on YouTube, click share or save, and you can watch it later too. Definitely. Oh yes, this is going to be a good view. You all are going to like this. I know, Sandra, you just need your finger to work on this, My Design Center. All right, Cathy, you ready for me?
Hold on.
I couldn't tell if you were just holding it and then you're going back, or.
Okay, there you go. I don't know. Can you see it?
Yes. So can you all see that it reflects the design that she has directly onto the fabric? That is the first part.
It's a 3x5 inch box. And so if I want to see the leaf, I can take it up here and I can see the leaf up on the fabric. So you just move the little red box to whatever you want to see.
Perfect. And if you all can't see it, look to the right. You'll see a little green thing on the fabric. That's the embroidered design that she's reflecting on there.
I don't know. Well, I'm dropping everything, so.
I was like, and that's the floor. Your floor looks pretty clean, though.
Okay.
Perfect. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. So now are we ready to go to sashing?
Sure. Are you all ready to go to sashing? And you can keep asking your questions. I know some of you rolled in a little later, so we'll take a break for that. But yes, let's go to the sashing.
Yeah, so the design center is just amazing, and there's just so many things to do. You just need to push buttons and enjoy and start playing. Okay, so we'll go to sashing now.
All right. So she's switching her screen around. We'll wait for that. And we heard a thump. Oh, there you go, Anne. Yes, remember the episode number and search, and you come. Actually, we started putting the titles in so you knew what we were doing to help you search for later, too. I agree, Marilyn. The projector is awesome. Oh, Pat, congratulations on your new luminaire. Oh, Julia, we got a troll. I'll make sure I check for that and take that off of there. I didn't see them coming through, so maybe we already deleted them. They seem to show up, don't they? All right. And anybody else have any questions? I think I saw Joanna or somebody asked for. So yes, the magnetic hoops there's a couple that are available for the luminaire now. Just call your brother dealer and I put it right down below. And you can't see Cathy, but you can hear her. She is actually in the machine in orders. So hold that thought.
Okay, let me see. All right, so I have got, can you see? I'm using the 7 by 14 inch magnetic frame. You know what? I guess I'm going to go ahead and put this on the machine, and then I'm going to go back to the camera and move it over to the, I'm going to move it over to the screen so we can see, and then we'll go back to the sewing. Okay?
Okay.
So, excuse me while I move over here.
I know. She's getting over there. No worries, guys. I know. Fun things to do.
Okay.
Okay, you there? Here we go. You ready? Oh, almost.
Yes, I'm ready.
There you go.
So when we come into embroidery, we have our quilt sashing, and that's this button right here. So we have 1 color, 2 color, and hexagon. I have a fun time with the hexagon sometimes. It's really fun. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to find this leaf pattern, and it's number 19. So this is it right here. So I'm going to go to set. You have 2 choices. This first choice is now I could probably do, I could have probably done this and done the 2, but I want you to see how this works and how many choices you have with this. So you can do this one if you just want to hoop 1, 2, or 4 times. And this is just multiple hooping. So the size of this is limited. The size of this is really large. So I'm going to pick this one here. And so it asks you to measure the upper part and the side part and then the size of your design. Well, it says right here that I'm using my 10 5/8 by 16 inch hoop, and I am not. So if you look here, this is the size of the pattern right here, of this right here. So the bigger hoop that you use, the bigger this goes. If you go to a real small hoop, right now it's 1.8 to 3.94. And when I come down to the 4 by 12, it goes down to 1.94. So the larger the hoop, the wider the outside can be here, the wider your design can be. So I'm going to go back. I want to use my magnetic frame, which is 7 by 14. So when you measure, I measured the top I measured all the way across the top, about 1/4 of an inch down, because for my seam allowance. So you measure across here and then take 1/4 inch off each side. It's a measurement of how wide you want your design to be. And then you do the same with the length, here to here. And then it's the size of your design right here. So I measured this, and I wrote them down someplace, but now I can't find them, of course. Okay, here it is. So the width, the top, the number 1, is 12.5. So I'm going to push in 12.5 and set. And now it's moved down to here and wants the length. And that's 11.5 and set. And then it wants the size of my design. And I did 1.5 inches and set. So there we go. And I'm going to go next. Now, if you look here, you can see that you could change it if you wanted to. You could return and go back if you decided you didn't put in the right numbers and want to change it. Right down here, you have your single run or your triple run. So this is where you get the one that's not as thick, and then the thicker one. So here is your single and your triple. And then you can change your color. Now you want to be careful of your color because it's going to project that color down onto your fabric. So if you have a dark fabric, you'll want a light color. If you have a light fabric, you may want a little bit of a darker color. I'm just going to do blue. That's not what I'm going to sew, but that's what I'll do. And say okay. And so now it's split it up into 8 pieces. So I've got a total of 8 pieces that it's split it into, so 2 for each side. It's a corner and then a length because it's not real big. And then you need to put it into memory because the machine's going, I can't just do this willy-nilly. I need to remember this so I can go back and do what needs to be done. So you're going to push your memory button and say okay. And once you do that, your memory comes up, and here it is, the first one. Oh, this is my scan, and because I didn't sew it, it didn't go away. So I'm going to come into here and go to page number 10 and push delete and say okay, and okay, now it's gone. So those your backgrounds will stay there unless you sew it. Once you sew it, the background will go away. But you can delete it on page 10. So I'm going to come here and pick this one. And there we go. So you can see here, this is the one where it's going to connect it on its own. So this is where I'm going to go so that I can sew this out. These are the bits and pieces. So these are when I did the tulips, this is the corner. And so with the tulips, it had the tulips up there. And then these are the side pieces that I used at the end. So you have the pieces that you can use. So if you have something that's pieced and you have the center that you can do your border round, your total border round, and then it's connected with some more straight stitches, then you can do your straight ones on the side. So it just gives you a great variety of the different things that you can do with it. It's really nice. So these are what I choose if I want to do a single design, and this is what I'm going to choose if I want to do the whole design.
Those are really pretty, by the way. I love that corner one. And I think now that you show that so well, in fact, everybody's saying, thank you for explaining this so well, but you can see how that one little corner could be on a cuff on a sleeve. It could be, you could use it for so many different things. It opens up a whole different embroidery world.
Yeah. And, it's just you just tell it, if you want it to be bigger, you just tell it, you do a bigger hoop, and then it will make it larger. So it's the width of it. So it's really fun. It's fun to play with and figure out what in the heck's going on. But it's really fun. And what's really nice about this is that it's let's go ahead and go to set. we can go back now if we need to. So if I needed to do a section over again, I can go to the needle plus and minus, the needle backwards and forwards, and I can go back a section. So this is going to give me 8 sections, but I can go back a whole section with this machine, with the machine now, and it's so nice. It's just not going back so many stitches. I can go back a whole section. So so it's telling me to hoop this way, and that's the way I hoop. So I'm going to say okay. And then it's going to tell me to move the pattern keys to adjust the inside corner of the pattern. And I'm going to say okay. So do I need to go back to the fabric now?
Probably. So while you do that, I'll take you out so everybody can't see you walk in front. You just yell when you're ready. I see a few questions that I can take on here. Let's see. Darlene, totally off topic, but the blouse over here, this is one that we are designing in Fashion Sewing Club this month. So it's only partly put together so far. We're sewing it next week. So thanks for asking, though. I'll let you know what it looks like when we're done. Eddie, is the magnetic hoop available for the still air? Yes. So just call your brother dealer. And again, Cathy, it works on the still air, doesn't it?
The 5x7 does. This one does not. This one is just too heavy. The arm of the still air, the arm of this machine is a lot sturdier, so it can carry the weight of this. This hoop is heavy.
Yeah, so that's what I was thinking. The 2 new smaller hoops, Eddie.
The 5x7 definitely. The still air. Oh, and I just love that 5x7 hoop.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes, and so the person that had the Dream Machine also, this bigger hoop does not work on yours. That's just for the Luminaire. It's the 2 new smaller ones. So
yes.
To be clear.
And they just came out with the upgrade for the Dream Machine so that her machine will recognize the 5x7.
Oh, wonderful. Okay.
The update. Sorry. Anyway. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to move this up into this corner right up here. So I'm going to move it up. And can you see it on the fabric now that it's on the white?
Oh,
and
yes.
Over. And so I might have to stick my head over here.
We can see the corner, that's for sure.
My big old fat head. Okay, so now this is my needle drop area, and this is my corner. So I can see that my red lines are right on my seam lines. So on my screen, I'm just going to say okay. And now it looks like a regular embroidery, so I'm just going to push start and let it sew it out. The machine just walks you through every step, and you just let it do its thing. Now, I could have taped this down, which would probably be a good idea, but it's sticking to the batting pretty good, and who knows where this poor little block will end up. So you actually,
Cathy, that was a great tip to tell us there. So you actually have just the batting hooped, and then you lay the fabric.
Yeah, I have batting and backing. So on the one that I sewed, if I can find it, you can see that here it is on the back, and here it is on the front. So I have the batting, the block, the batting, and the backing. So usually I do it on my whole thing after it's all done. I don't do it piece by piece.
Okay.
And I skipped something that I forgot to tell you that I think is very important, and we'll do it right now. I'm going to say okay to connect the next pattern. And I have to connect the next pattern before I can show you what I was going to show you. So anyway. So it has on the screen, it's telling me.
I need you to, I'll have you switch back to this.
Move this down. So now it comes up here. I need to get this up to here. I'm sorry, what?
We just couldn't see the screen, so I was making sure you were coming back over.
Yeah. So we're going to. So it's telling me that I need to get this up here. And it makes you move it one little tick at a time. It's not gonna let me hold my finger on there.
You can definitely see that box now.
It's really precision work here. So once you get it up to where this green line is even with that line, with my seam line, okay, but now this seam line is right here and my green line is over here. So this isn't, you can't just move it side to side. We have to change the angle. So I'm going to move this 1 degree to the left. And that pretty much has it right on. So I'm going to say okay. So now I'm ready to stitch. But before I stitch,
we can see that. Wow.
Yeah, I'm going to take you back to the screen if that's okay.
Sure. So while she's moving that back to the screen, Edna wants to know, did you say you have any stabilizer underneath that at all, or just batting and a backing?
Just batting and backing.
All right.
Okay.
Here. Back.
So I don't know what that light is on the bottom of that. Anyway, I'm going to come to the needle, to the scissors and the sewing. This is where your tension is and your jump stitch and your color end trim. So pretending that I'm a real quilter, and this is really pretending I'm not a real quilter, I'm going to push end color trim and jump stitch trim and say okay. So now and now I can go back to the other if you want. Let me see if I can just move it on over there.
As she's moving that, I'll bring you right back.
There we go.
There we are.
Okay, so this always goes to center. And so it's not where it's going to start stitching. So I'm going to come to needle plus and minus and go +1. And that's going to take me right up to where it's going to start stitching. So I'm going to take my thread and I'm going to push needle up and down. And I'm going to pull up my bobbin thread. And now, because I've got my trims off, I can just bury those tails and I'm not going to have any cuts at the back. So you're going to have a perfectly smooth back. So if you look back here on this, where they joined, you really can't see where they joined because I have buried the threads because it didn't cut those tails. So this is something if you're really worried about that you can do. That you can just turn those off, and when you're done, bury the thread. So I'll show you what happens when it's done, and I'll take it off and show you. So okay, so it's all lined up, and so now all I have to do is push the start button, and off we go.
Susie says, thank you for an awesome tutorial. She's going to be putting this in her notebook.
Nice. It's such a fantastic tool. The machine is just amazing that how it does things. Of course, we have to tell it a few things.
Oh, that looks awesome. I love seeing that. Oh, Fran, thanks. She says she loves the videos and all the guests. She learns so much. Wonderful to hear.
Now, one thing that you want to be careful with if you're using this hoop is before you start sewing, try to make sure that you have enough bobbin because you never know where the hoop is going to stop. And sometimes you're going to have to take a magnet off to get the hoop off. So I always like to check my bobbin to make sure that I have enough bobbin to make it through the design. And now watch, it'll run out.
That is really pretty.
And it's almost done.
D, while we're embroidering that, is there one trolley luggage for the luminaire, correct? there is a luggage set. I don't know what color it is, though. I just saw it at Houston Quilt Fest. You don't know, Cathy, do you?
No, I don't. No.
I don't know, Dee. Sorry. But you know what? You could always call your brother dealer and they'll know.
Exactly. So it says embroidery is finished. Okay to connect the next pattern. And I will say okay. But you can see that this did not cut. And that was good. I didn't want it to cut. So I'm going to go ahead and trim this upper one. And then I'm going to take my hoop off. And trim my bobbin thread. And so now, instead of having, I don't know if you can see this or not,
Yeah.
but right up here, I have the little cut that I forgot to do that with. And so I can hide those, but you can see how it's kind of a little messy because how it cuts and then starts sewing. And then this is kind of messy. But now with this, I have a nice clean start here. So that's if that's what you want, that's how you would achieve that. Okay, so now I'd have to move the fabric and then just do the other side. So what I would do is I'd take off my magnets and I'd move it up this way and just continue on. So did we want to do that or?
Well, we're just about out of time, so.
Yeah. But anyway, it's just, it walks you through it right on the screen and you just move your design to where it tells you to. You just, you don't have to think much. You just do what it tells you.
That is really, really pretty. While you have that there, Connie wants to know, are you using muslin fabric for the back?
No, I'm using this thin fabric from the front. You can use whatever you want, but yeah, it's
nice.
It's actually kind of probably worse than muslin, but anyway.
Hey, it looks good on there.
But yeah, you can, it's just your backing. And normally I wouldn't do them individually like this, but to demonstrate it's easier to show it this way instead of having to maneuver a big piece. But
right. That's really beautiful. So how many of you have actually tried this? I see quite a few of you in here saying that you have the Luminaire. Kay says she's had hers since December. And she's learning from all the educators. Let's see. Who else do we have in here that says it? Quite a few people, actually. And also from, you can come on back with us, Cathy, if you want. Let me take you out so you can come back up.
Okay.
All right, I'll take her out. She'll join us back up front. So then I see a few more questions that she can help us answer about, does this work on the Dream Machine? Oh, thanks, Marcia. Loves the tutorials. And Cathy will be right back with us. So Marion, you want to know if this works on the Dream Machine. So you have my design center. So the first part will work. Do they have quilt sashing on the Dream Machine? I cannot remember.
No, there's no quilt sashing on that.
Yeah, I didn't
quilt
think so.
sashing is on the 1055 and the Luminaire.
Okay. And then the two sizes of hoops that are available on the Stellaire and other machines, is it 4x4 and 5x7?
Right, yeah.
For the magnetic ones?
Oh, no. As far as magnetic goes, we have the magnetic flat frame, which is a 5x7. That's the only,
Just that one.
and then we
Okay.
have the other one, the bigger one, that's for the Luminaire only.
I don't know why I thought there was a 4x4.
Yeah, we have several for the 10 needle. We have several magnetic frames for the 10 needle.
Everybody say, this is awesome. It's so pretty. And you can make something so quickly and easy with that. I just think it.
Yeah, I just love that we can just use those pieces individually, those embroideries, and just scatter them on, do your sashing all the way around and then just scatter some of the other ones around on your project.
Wonderful.
It was fun.
All right, I'll wait I know there's a delay, so I'll make sure there aren't any last minute questions. Kathy, you always have such great tutorials, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
And we're not sick of pumpkins, everyone's saying. All right, so I'm going to put up the brother. There you go for Brother Sews. For those of you that are looking for your brother dealer, you can go there and put in your zip code. And also, if you haven't been to the Brother blog for the sewing and crafting side, there are some new things on there you might want to see. there's always the free design of the month for embroidery. I haven't seen what it is yet, but Joanne said it's really cute. So there's that. And also, if you want to see if you need an update, not upgrade, but update for your machine, that's where you'll go and check that out.
Yes.
All right. Let's see. Any other little questions here? I think we're good. Everybody says, thank you. Great show. You are very welcome. And thank you, brother, for letting us take over your page. Any other last tips for us, Cathy, before we end this?
Just start pushing buttons and enjoy your machine to its fullest.
That sounds awesome. Oh, yep. Dolly said she's still learning. Great to see you, Dolly. Excellent. And Esther says, thank you. Oh, Marilyn wants some holiday sashing projects. We'll put that into the, we'll put a bug in their ear.
Yeah.
Josie says, thank you. Well, everyone, this is awesome. The address for the Brother blog, Marcia, go to brothersews.com, which I have down below. And then you just scroll all the way to the bottom of the page. It's kind of in a weird spot, but go to the bottom and then click on, there's crafting blog and then there's sewing blog, either of those. So I know they've been renovating the website, so I don't know where that will be in the future, but right now it's at the bottom. They want to make sure you see all those fabulous projects on the way down. Oh,
exactly,
thank you.
Exactly.
Brother Sews social media, it's right on top of it. Just left you a link. Wonderful.
Nice.
Yes, you're welcome. And thank you all for watching. I know you have a lot of things you could be doing today, but hanging out with us for an hour, we are so grateful.
Yes,
so
thank you so much.
I love it. And you know who's coming next week? We have crafting on Tuesday with May at noon and Jerry Granada at noon on Thursday.
Nice.
Excellent. And those of you that wanted to see how to cut velvet, go back to my show from yesterday, because I've been I don't know, Cathy, do you work with velvet very often? Because mine, I called it like like when you cut fur and you get all those fur balls everywhere. I've got like a velvet fur ball in my office right now.
Yeah. My son says I can't bring any sequin fabric into his home. He said, because when I was little and you used to sew with sequins, we had them in the house forever. They never went away.
That is so true. Well, Cathy, thank you for an awesome show. And all of you for watching, thank you for being here. Brother, thank you for letting us take over your page. Until next time.
Thank
Happy
you, Angela.
sewing.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Cathy.